Okay. Happy Monday, and good to see everybody. Obviously, good to have a bye week right now and give ourselves a couple days of individual practices and really focusing on our fundamentals the next 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then have a good team practice on Thursday and Sunday, beginning our preparation for the Apple Cup. And we'll certainly start that probably Thursday. So we certainly are excited for that, but really going to focus in on ourselves these next couple days, see how much we can improve in every area, and then really kind of take it from there. Looking back on the game, you know, we watched it, we evaluated it, we watched it with our players yesterday, and we're ready to move on from that. Obviously, there was a lot of great things that we did. There were some things we can continue to improve upon. But in the end, that game is behind us, and it's now time to really focus in on the Apple Cup.
Bryce Butler started that game. Was that for competition purposes or injury or both? What?
No, it's because he was playing the best. So Bryce had a great week of practice, and Bryce had the opportunity to start. Bryce has had a really, really good training camp and continuing to improve in all areas, and therefore he earned the start.
Did you have an update on Rashid?
Yeah, Rashid will be out for a few weeks. Right now, we don't know exactly, but you know, we'll wait and see for the final decision here if we're going to need to operate or not, and from there we'll figure out if it's how many weeks.
Is that a collarbone?
Yeah.
Okay. How are you feeling about your D-line health generally? I know you mentioned getting closer to getting Javon Parker back and Deshaun Lynch, and Sagapalo missed another game. Just curious kind of how you feel like you are there.
Yeah, I think we're in a great spot. D-line wise, I believe everybody should be healthy. Maybe Javon, I don't know if he'll be cleared for Wazoo or not, but I think every other player is clear, will be cleared for that game. So you're looking at, and you can only play so many of them, but it should have Logan and Lynch back, and everybody else is cleared. So the only guy we'd be waiting on out of 12 guys, I think, is Javon, or out of 16 guys would be Javon. So I think the other 15 are healthy.
When I look at the way Jonah's playing, he had a good year last year, but he seems better at everything. He seems faster, his receiving's better, his blocking is better. What is that, just getting older? Did something kick in? Is it urgency? How do you describe on the difference from last year to this year with Jonah?
The O-line is better. The wide receivers are better blocking. The threat of a quarterback who could run changes the way defenses play you. And those are all things that go into the success of a running back. Derrick Henry with Lamar Jackson is different than with a drop back quarterback. In the same way that certain runners are different when you have Damon Williams back there, because you have to defend two elite runners and also be aware of Damon's throwing ability. So running backs that have that are going to thrive. And Jonah's thriving in that situation because he's the benefactor of the way Drew Azzopardi and Carver Willis and Landon Hatchett and Garen Hatchett and John Mills are playing, as well as Quentin Moore being back. So if you look at the difference that a year makes, we didn't have Quentin Moore the whole season. He's one of the best blocking tight ends I've ever been around in college football. We didn't have Carver Willis. We didn't have Drew Azzopardi was coming off of his first year ever as a starter. We had no spring ball together. We had no training camp together. We had 7 offensive linemen when we first got here. So all of that goes into play. So Jonah is continuing to get better and better and better as a fourth-year player in the same system. Another unique thing in college football, not many guys play 4 years in the same exact offense with the exact same terminology, with the exact same play caller. So he's a benefactor there as well. So I think all of it combined is what's enabled Jonah to be, for the second week in a row, the Big Ten Player of the Week.
Your analysis at nickel between Rashawn and Leroy, they both got in a little bit at the same time last week.
Yeah, they're both playing well. And, you know, I think that as we progress, Leroy has the ability to play outside and inside. And that Rashawn is continuing to improve playing inside. Rashawn's, you know, these are his first set of real live reps. And with that is coming some learning curve, and he's beginning to get a great feel of route combinations and exactly leverage that he needs to have to be a great defender and to go after the football. But both those guys have done a nice job and will continue to get tested in the weeks to come.
Coach, with your offensive line being just better this year overall, how much does it change your play calling and what you feel confident in working with, and a line you have confidence in?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly, so far through 2 games, have felt there's more. First of all, we've been able to rely on the run game more, which makes a huge difference in the overall decision-making on how to call a game. Secondly, we have the ability on third down to be in much more manageable down and distances in the third and long, so you have the ability to run or pass in those downs. And the confidence that the O-line's playing with, their ability to run off the ball, the job that Switz and Mike Brewster are doing with that group, you could certainly see it's much different calling the game this year when you don't have as many, you know, things that we have to keep in mind.
Jedd, I know special teams was a big emphasis in the offseason. Denzel had the punt return. That looked pretty good. I'm just curious what you've seen the first 2 weeks in that phase of the game.
Yeah, you know, we made a big focus, right, on making our special teams better. We hired Coach Petrilli to come in here. We wanted to really emphasize special teams. It's obviously scoring on special teams or blocking a punt or blocking a kick. Those are game-changing. And, you know, one of the biggest things we've asked our fans to do is join us in drive up. And as we're trying to go out there and block a field goal every time they're going to kick, we want the entire stadium to be chanting that along with our team. And if we can get that done, you know, we hope and we believe we can make this stadium the hardest place to kick in all of college football.
Jedd, going back to what you were saying a minute ago about the consistency with Jonah and everything, how do you feel that that message has just resonated as you continue to just sell this program and sell everything that you're building?
Yeah, I think that Jonah, you know, really represents everything we are building and everything that we really stand for in our program. We want guys to excel academically and athletically. We want guys to be able to get their degrees and get drafted. And Jonah, if he continues on the path that he is on, will be able to graduate as a Dean's List member and get drafted. So where Jonah came from to where Jonah is today, there's a reason why so many people love Jonah and so many people root for Jonah. And really the most important part of it is he is truly everything that we've asked about becoming a pro. From the first day I met Jonah when he was a junior in high school to where he is today and how he is with others and with families and with kids and with autograph seekers and with the community and with academics. And we're just proud of him. We're proud of him, and he is receiving the fruits of his labor right now. And to have 7 touchdowns in 2 weeks is pretty awesome. To be recognized by the Big Ten 2 weeks in a row is pretty awesome. He was the East-West Shrine Bowl Player of the Week this week as well, which is pretty awesome. And if he continues to get those accolades and he continues to do things well, he's hopefully will become a poster child for the years to come on what we want our players to be like.
Sicario Davis got an interception in last Saturday's game. What can you guys do to try and create some more turnovers on defense?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier today. We've only taken the ball away twice, and that's not what we want to. That's not who we are, and that's not who we want to be as a program. And turnovers come in bunches, takeaways come in bunches, and you've got to get some momentum to get them. But you also have to attack the ball. you also have to have that philosophy of it's not just about a tackle, but it's about a strip. It's not just about a sack, it's about a strip sack. It's not just about getting a guy down, it's about punching it out. So all of those things are really like the second level of how we want to attack as a defense, and we're going to spend these next few days when we're talking about fundamentals. Two of those periods every day will be based upon trying to attack the football.
You were asked last week about the guys after the first game who played their first game as pure freshmen, and you indicated that you anticipated them not redshirting. You had a couple more guys this week, Adams, Clemens. I'm trying to think if there was any others. Would you put them in the same category?
No, I think the guys that played this week in the fourth quarter are, the redshirt rule allows you to play 4 games. I would assume we won't make any decisions on who's redshirting until guys get close to those 4 games, and then we'll figure out if we need to pull someone back or not, if we're in a position to be able to make that decision. Right now, I don't imagine in a Big Ten schedule that we're going to be able to have the flexibility to put guys in the fourth quarter. That was, we were able to do that based on the score. Now, when you ask guys about Desmond Roebuck, who's a starter, or Raiden Vinesbright, who's a starter, or John Mills, who's a starter, or some of the guys that are clearly not redshirting, that's different. But the guys that we put in for this game that are still players that we're working to develop, that's more of that. We'll wait and see what happens down the road.
You've gotten to see Mills and Finau both quite a bit in these first 2 games. Just curious what the evaluation is there at left guard.
Yeah, both guys are doing a nice job. Both guys are continuing to grade out well. John Mills is continuing to show why he is the starter, and that the consistent play that he's able to show down in, down out. And Pocky's demonstrating why there's absolutely no hesitation whatsoever to put him in at any drive. I think he went in the 3rd drive of the game 2 weeks in a row. Pocky played a lot more snaps this week than John did because of the fact that Pocky played those last couple drives with Kai as well. But Pocky's continuing to improve. They're both very young players. They're both going to help us. They're both going to have opportunities to play for us. And whether they're both playing the same position now, one guy might be playing right guard next year, and one guy might be playing left guard, or one guy might be playing tackle, and the other guy might be playing guard. So we're going to continue to get those guys in a similar rotation. It's very rare to play with the same combination of offensive linemen throughout a season. It's usually doesn't happen. So we're going to keep getting those guys better and better, but John is certainly continuing to play at a high level, and he's doing a really nice job for us. And when Pocky's gone in, there has not been much drop-off.
Next year, you open the season with the Apple Cup. Do you have any thoughts on that, playing the rival right out of the gate?
No, I'm focused on week 3 of this season. That one I would not have even known that until you just said that to me. I have to be honest with you. I kind of go more day by day. And my focus really right now is, can we get better fundamentally this week? Can we get better as a team? We're doing a lot of things with our leadership council this week. We're doing a lot of things in team building this week. And that's going to be our focus. And then we got to get ready for this year's Apple Cup, and we got to get the cup back. And that's really where our focus is. And then we'll deal with 2026 down the road.
Does that sound kind of odd? Because, when you played Arizona and Arizona State, end of the season, Washington and Washington State, end of the season. I know the conference shifts have changed some of that, but I can't remember any rivals opening the season against each other.
Yeah, open the season, I don't know. Michigan State, we played week 5 when I was at Michigan. So, I don't know. That was a big trophy game. So, college football is different than it once was. It's not the same scheduling. It's not the same focus. Different conferences, different things that have to go on nowadays based upon the way scheduling works. And we do what we're told. And when we're told to play a game, we're going to line up and play it. And but right now, we got to line up and play the one that's coming here in the next 2 weeks.
What have you learned about this rivalry from coaching it for the first time last year and just kind of ever since then?
Yeah, I mean, it's rivalries are a big deal. Rivalries are, this is a state championship game. This is the opportunity to go out there and go play your best against a team that is going to do everything they possibly can to beat you, and they're going to be fired up, and our guys are going to be fired up. And we had a game that went down to a 4th and 1 on the 1. We had a game that we let up a 20-yard QB draw at the end of a half. And it was still a 24-19 game at the end. We're 2-2 in the last 4 games that we've played them. And, I don't go way back. I know that, it's 70-something to 33, I believe. But the bottom line is that in the last 4 years, they've won twice, we've won twice. So we've got to figure out a way to win this one. And we've made that very clear to our team, as I'm sure they are. And we just happen to have this week that we don't have a different opponent where they've got to focus in on North Texas. But our goal is to go out there and play our best game a week from Saturday.
Do you use last year's motivation? Would you talk to your guys about that, or do you just say new season, new things?
No, we use last year and every other year, and we'll talk about Jaden planting the flag, and we'll talk about all the things that go into this type of a rivalry, and we'll educate our kids on what this all means. And in the same token, some coaches will tell you, we play every game's a championship opportunity. You guys probably heard that from the Seahawks head coach since 2010. So I understand, how we're all brought up in certain ways, but I understand the importance of playing a team that, that is fighting for the state championship just like we are, and our players will understand that as well.
DeMond is obviously a gifted runner. In the first game, I'm sure he took more hits than you'd like him to see. He took a couple more this week. You talk about the conversations that you have with him about not taking those hits and still letting him maintain that stinger that he has.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to take hits. Like, he's not going to be, he's not going to be hitless. Lamar, Jackson takes hits, and Kyler Murray takes hits, and Justin Herbert takes hits, and Josh Allen takes hits, and these guys are all running around, and they're all quarterbacks that have the ability to run and pass. The most important thing that I can emphasize at DeMond is, you have to continue to get bigger and stronger, and you have to gain weight, and you have to really focus in on building body armor. You're not going to be able to avoid every hit in the game of football. The ones you can avoid, run out of bounds. And that's what he did do this past game really well. When he got some first downs, he slid, which is great. There's also going to be times that he's going to make a guy miss in space and go get in the end zone, and we're going to live with that. And there's other times that he's going to try to make a guy miss and he's going to get tackled. And we're also going to live with that because we're not going to limit what DeMond's skill set is based upon the fact that we want to, try to protect him to an extreme. Like, he understands how to run the football. He understands the game itself, that the best ability is availability, and that he's going to have to be available for us as many games as possible, hopefully the entire season, and therefore he has to make some wise decisions when it comes to some either-or plays.
How much bigger do you think he can get?
I think he can get, to 200-something pounds. There's only been 2 quarterbacks since 2007 that have been drafted that are under 200 pounds, right? So Pat White and Stetson Bennett. Those are the only 2 quarterbacks in the history or in the last 28 years that have been drafted that are under 200 pounds. So I know that D wants to get drafted, and I know that's the plan for him. So we're going to continue to focus in on finding a way to continue to get him bigger.